Let's go into this young man's game. The man I say never to write off, Tane Tuaupiki.
Mm.
Um, I'll start with you, Josh. Man, what do you make of his performance? And what does that mean? Is there discussions that need to be had about CNK and Tane, and fitting CNK in somewhere, but keeping Tane? What's your thoughts around that space as well?
Yeah, man. I've been so high on Tane for the longest time. And he, like, to me, he just needed a shot to show what he can do. And I think, like, even with the with being on the wing to start the year, like, he still was able to show, hey, like, I'm a great player. And he scored so many fantastic tries, some mean as individual efforts. But him at fullback is just different gravy, man. He just, I don't know what it is. He's like so, again, silky. He just moves in the way that works in our system. The way he runs the ball back is different to Charnze, but it
Yeah,
works. He's
yeah,
such a small body, but he plays so much bigger than he
yeah,
is. Um, I sit there and I go, when Charnze is gone, or even when we were talking like earlier in the year when Charnze was rumored to be going off to UK Super League. Um, sitting there, like, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't like, oh well, we're gonna have to go out on the market and find a new fullback, and, like, who
yeah,
could we get, or what could fit. Like, Tane is the guy, and he's like, I'm worried that we're gonna have like too much of him this year, and then other teams start to come sniff around. Because yeah, I do think he's the future of the team once once we fully understand what our system is and how our system plays. Like, yeah, he just seems like he fits so well as like a cog in the system.
yeah. Yeah, he's just again. I always use the footy player analogy.
Mm,
Like, just you have an athlete and then you have a footy player. I'll always choose the footy player, no matter how small or less athletic they are. I like the way he thinks and plays the game. He's got that natural flow to him. That last line break, I just love that. Seeing that at the end of the game, that was so cool. But yeah, what are you making of Tane? Is it time to move CNK into the centres, or is it those discussions that we need to have? What do you make of that, my man?
Oh yeah, he every time he steps up, bro, it's always a great performance to Tane. Like he goes out there, plays with his heart. As you said, he's a football player for sure. Like he sniffs out opportunities and he takes them. I think that's like what we all love about Tane Tuaupiki is he's so silky. I love the way he uses the football to kind of mesmerize the defense, and that kind of helps him with getting these yardage carries and stuff. He always shows the football in a face, and whenever he shows the football into a defensive face, they stop on their heels, and it allows him to really get through his work. It's such a really underrated asset of footy. Like, players like Nico Hines has always been very good at it. Even going in past, like Matty Bowens and stuff of the world. Billy Slater's used to be really good. Just having the ball out in front, your defense freezes a little bit because you don't know which way it can go. You can show the ball one way or the other way. Defenses always go those ways. It's a wild thing, but he does it to the best of his, best ability as well in the league. Like, I think he's incredible at it. To the argument, like, with him and Chance, like, it's such a tough one because Chance is so consistent and does such a great job of what he does. We got another one that's at a first grade level there in Tane Tuaupiki that could elevate us as well as, in that area. And, we're coming to a point where, it's probably a little bit more of a discussion a little bit later on as well with, our right side center position is just consistently going down with injuries. And we seem to have a guy who step in there and then going back out. And whether, Webby does see what Tane's doing at the moment and goes, you know what, like Chance is getting through a ton of work. Maybe if I want to hold him back from a couple of injuries that he's picking up in his game, give him a little bit lesser work, but what Chance is going to produce. Put him out in that center. Personally, I've always said it. I don't usually like Chance playing center. I don't think defensively. I've always been worried about Chance playing center. But this system's obviously made things work, and it always has consistently made things work. So I wouldn't be opposed to seeing it if it comes to a point where Ali maybe needs the rest of the year in Cup, to get over his little niggling injuries. We know what he can produce. We know he'll be back up there within a year or two time. Obviously coming into next season, we'll have this discussion all over again. Rocco, we need him just to be healthy, have his time off. Charnze goes to centre, put Tane at back, and see what Tane can produce. Because, honestly, his playmaking ability is out of this world. As it's been pointed out many times in the discussion here, is his heart. To get smoked the way he did by Jarrell Skelton and then get up and the way he performed the rest of that game, that it just shows the character in the kids. So every time he plays, bro, I absolutely love him. And again, he just adds a different dimension to our team. It's not Charnze, but it's Tuaupiki. And that's what I love about the Warriors at the moment. Whoever gets in there, it's not like, oh, we're going to have to change. They just play their football game and it works. That's just usually how it goes.
Josh, do you think there's a big question about durability, and I know people, but I'm almost of the mindset well, we'll wait till he gets injured. Let it happen first before we start talking about injuries and all that type of stuff. Do you think there's an issue with Tane durability long-term wise, or is that a concern that we should have?
I don't think so. I think he, to me, it looks like he can shake off quite a bit. Like Ash was saying, that hit from Skelton, you could hear that in the stands. That sounded like 4 or 5 ribs broke in that tackle. It was
crazy.
And you're just the rest of the set's going on, and they're starting to get the ball, and this guy's coughing up blood, and he's just getting up. The trainer's like, "Are you all goods?" And he's like, I have to get back on. Have to get back to fullback. I don't really worry too much about Tane's durability. I think, like I said before, he plays bigger than himself, which could get him into trouble at some points. But I think he almost is underestimated because of his size. And I was listening to the Bloke podcast, and they were talking a bit about him and just the way he, the way he does play and the way he, the way he moves almost is making up for his lack of size. So I'm not I'm not too worried about him injury wise. Again, if he does go down, then that may cause an issue. But I mean, Charnze has been struggling with injuries as well. It's not if you're the size of Charnze or if you're the size of this person, you're less likely to get injured. It's just it's just the way the game goes. And to me, the only things that keep him down are wingers jamming in off their lines and spear tapping him.
Charnze thing.
Oh, bro,
last one on that too. Oh, that one cup was horrendous. And that. When we discussed Tane, also, I do want to point out my thoughts around teams coming in and trying to poach our players and stuff like that. And I understand the people getting scared of those sort of points, but we've seen that players are willing to obviously stay in their positions, what Tanner did this year and extending. Again, especially for an Australian boy like Tanner to do what he did to extend. I think someone like Tane, he probably understands the role and understands the position of all right, I'll get there when I get there, and I'll prove myself when I get there. And especially in a position that is so every team's got an incredible fullback this year, these days. To Tane's ability, there's we can have arguments on who's better and who's not with fullbacks and stuff. But I think, I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't be too worried in the area that him leaving and other teams looking at poaching him and stuff. I think he looks very good and settled to what he's doing. And he's obviously getting a lot of good, notes and that handing down from the coaching staff that we have at the moment. That's allowing these boys to stay. My best example on that, again, goes back to Tanner Boyd. He had all the opportunities to move on to play first grade for the Cowboys, whether that was going to be hooker or just getting a first grade position back home, especially in Queensland as well. And he said, nah, I'm happy with what we're doing here. So that obviously shows that there's a lot of good communication in the club at the moment. The culture's in an incredible place, and players are waiting and holding their time. And I don't think that, again, I think Tane's an incredible player overall, and I'm loving having him at that fullback. And if we go back to Charnze, I'm not worried of losing Tane. But then we also got these other little pieces that are coming up through the grades as well, with Joseph Ratcliffe's of the world and stuff like that are incredible talents as well. So there is going to be that little bit of there's probably going to be a lot of players there that can step up and do a very good job as well. And it's probably picking which one of those ones is going to take us in the future. And at the moment, I think Tuaupiki is the top of the heap right now. But again, I wouldn't be too worried about teams poaching players like Tuaupiki just yet. I think that, like, you know, what the club's doing right now systematically and the way they're talking to our players is holding our players within, for sure.
I mean, you don't sit in a Warriors system for 3 years without, you know,
Loving
some
it.
potential, you know, and having a coach that backs you and believes you. I remember those early 23 interviews, the One NZ podcast ones where one take was it, and I think Webby recruited him, from Burley Bears, I think it was, you know. So it's definitely, I think it's a coach that's backed him and he's performed. You know, I can't fault him on many performances, and I'm in the main like we'll cross that river when we need to. But for what he's doing right now, he's been absolutely awesome.
And last one on that point, bro, too,
okay,
as like, you know, you look at the Gold Coast Titans, like, you know, Gold Coast have held on to AJ Brimson, Keanu Kinney, Jaden Campbell. They got Jalen DeGroot, and they've got another young halfback coming through, Queensland Maroons 19s. That is absolutely incredible as well, who like brained it in the State of Origin under 19s. Like, they all want to stay at the Gold Coast Titans. I hope we don't become a club that's like the Gold Coast Titans that wants to put fullbacks into halves and try to figure the shit out doing that. Like, it's going to come to a point where, honestly, you're going to have to cut one of them. It is what it is. Like, we're just going to have to deal with it, and we're a better club for it. The Gold Coast have been struggling with that. But if the Gold Coast can hold those players at that top elk, you know, AJ Brimson was the Queensland halfback for sure. He could have been. You know, Jaden Campbell is right up there for being one of the best fullbacks in the game as well. Sorry, fullback I meant before. And lastly, Keanu Kinney is the boom fullback of the league right now, and no one's touching him right now. So I think we got the same ability to hold on to these